Hello. Good. So, good morning everyone from AJINORAH Institutions. Hope everyone's doing great. I am Joseph. Before we start our live session today, I would like to announce something. Yesterday the Ielts exams were published. Results were published, and we are very happy to say that we have 100% result. Now, can we see who the winners are, and let's congratulate them through the posters. Yes, we can truly say that their hard work has paid off and all the effort they has put in, and let's take a moment to congratulate all the trainers. This is a classic example of something that we can say, if we put in effort, we can truly achieve anything that we want. And before we start our sessions, let me share something with you as well. Now we have a splendid offer, an unlimited offer to share with you, which is for all who aspire for the quality class we provide. Pay rupees 10,000 and study until you pass. Yes, you heard me right. You can study until you pass. It is everything that you could possibly imagine. Grab the offer before it expires. And yes, now I think we can start our session now. Our session will be about how we can effectively improve our speaking. The tips on how to improve our speaking. Yes. So, as we all know, the speaking test remains the same for both academic and general training. When you take IELTS on computer, the speaking test remains face to face with the certified IELTS examiner. I think you all know that the test consists of, it will last around 12 to 14 minutes, both for academic and general students. And there are 3 parts to the speaking test. Part 1, which lasts 4 to 5 minutes, consists of an introduction session, which is more like an interview. The IELTS examiner will introduce himself or herself and will ask you to also introduce yourself. We should know that the questions will be based on us, just us, our hobbies, what our name is, where we come from, what are we doing now, what we did in the past, what our studies were like. It's basically all about us, so we can answer the best way possible, because it's all about us. We know, nobody knows better than anyone else about us. So the examiner will ask you generic questions on topics like family, studies, work and your interests, as I said. And part 2, which lasts around 4 minutes, individual long-term questions. The examiner will give you a task card with a topic written on it, with some points you may cover in your speech. You will have 1 minute to think and prepare upon the topic. A paper and a pencil will be provided to jot down your notes. Once done ideating, you will have a time of 2 minutes to speak on the subject, followed by some questions on the same by the examiner. The questions will be asked to you on the part 3 of the speaking session. So here I think you all might know that we will be given a topic and we have to speak on the topic with the fluency and all the vocabularies that we have. So it is important for us to practice speaking right now, not just for the part 2 but for all the speaking session as a whole. Now moving on to the part 3, it will be around 4 to 5 minutes. We can say that this may be the longest session out of the speaking. It is a two-way discussion. It will be based on the cue card that we said to the examiner, or the cue card that we received. The examiner will ask more questions related to the topic in part 2 of the speaking test. You can use this opportunity to talk about more ideas. So it will be based on our opinion. Some questions will be based on our opinion, so we can opine on the things that we know, what we think about the situation or occasion, or be it anything about the cue card. And there will be general questions for us to answer, so we have to answer it carefully. And these are I'd say these are helpful tips for IELTS speaking test. Before you take your test, start talking to your friends, family and peers in English. You can also record yourself to hear how confident you sound, and if you need to work on your pronunciation. It is important for us to speak in English. It is something that we have to accept, and it is something that we have to practice. Unless and until you practice, we won't get the result. So it is important for us to practice. Start talking to yourself. We all know that we talk to ourselves in our mother tongue. So it is important for us to speak in English as well. Start there. Before you talk to your friends, before you talk to your parents or anyone else, before your trainer, start talking to yourself in English. It helps. It has helped for everyone. It has helped for me. So, and yes, no one denies that we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Even I make mistakes. We are not someone who is a professional at it, but we are learning there. We have so much to learn, and unless and until you start practicing or start talking to yourself and start talking to others in English, it will be hard for you. And the second thing is, don't be scared of giving wrong or right answers in your test. Remember, the examiner will see how articulate you are in expressing your opinions in English. We don't necessarily have to give advanced vocabularies at times, but we do have to show off our English in a way. How good we can handle the language. So it is important for us to talk on a topic and avoid using one-word answers. There are many students who give one-word answers, so if you can avoid it, it'll be good. We don't want to give one-word answers because we are judged on our speaking or on our language. So we need to talk about 2 to 3 sentences in the part 1. As we know, in the cue card we have to talk for 2 minutes, and in the part 3 we need to talk for 5 to 6 or 7 sentences. Yes, so try to avoid one-word examples. And there is no need to be stressed on your speaking test. The examiner is not giving you marks on the answer you give, but on how well you can speak on your opinion of thought. Yes, there are no right or wrong answers. Whatever you say is fine. Even it is a lie, it is fine, because we all know that we all lie during the speaking test. So it is important for us to stick to the answer. Don't change the opinion in the middle of the paragraph or whatever you're saying in the part 3. So stick to the opinion. Once you've made the opinion, stick to it. And when you say the answers, make sure that you frame a perfect, construct a perfect sentence where it is based on that we are judged, not the opinions that we make. It's just how we put forward our opinions. Avoid repetition of examiner's question as part of your answer. Understand the question and rephrase it in your own language. Yes, this is something that most of the students do. We don't have to repeat the question once again. They don't want that. And sometimes students ask them, yes, I have answered in 2 sentences. No, you just repeated the question back and you answered 1 sentence. We need sentences. We need your opinion of what the situation is or what the topic is. Do not slow down your pace or pace up your speaking. Be natural, like how you talk to people in regular life. Speaking quickly may end up in pronunciation mistakes. Yes, there are students who speak so quickly or they talk in a way that they can't even understand what they're talking about. So it is important for us to talk slowly. When I say slowly, we don't have to speak as if we are taking time to think. Normally we speak in our mother tongue in a way that is understandable to all. So it'll be great if we can speak like that. We should speak like that, one thing at a time. And when we are speaking, we should convey the ideas. We should put forward our opinions and all. And try being as detailed as you can when you are answering. Develop your responses to each questions rather than answering in a yes or no. Yes, this is something to be discussed on. During the cue card, we may lack ideas at times, but if we can detail some things about the topic, it might come in handy. And try, as I said before, we don't have to answer in yes or no questions. We don't have to answer in one word. So try to answer in sentences and try to give as much as detail as you can. Always use the correct verb tenses when answering the questions. For instance, if you are asked what kind of music do you like, do not answer in past tense. We are asking about something that you like now. So do not try to change the tenses. Take care of the grammar is all. And there can be mistakes when you fail to frame a perfect or construct a perfect sentence. There can be errors occurring. And practice how to pronounce the numbers clearly. For instance, when spoken numbers like 40 and 14, it may sound similar. There are cases where we say 40, 14. So try to say 40 is 40 and 14 is 14. We have to be clear about what we are speaking. We should never make the examiner ask twice about or something twice about what we are saying. We should have clarity of sentence. We should have clarity of the words. It is all to be taken care of. Do not try to use complicated words in your conversation if you are not comfortable. Keep it simple and casual. However, yes, if you can use advanced vocabulary, it will be of advantage. If we don't know a word, try not to use it. If it is better if you don't know a word and stick to the English that we know the best, because we cannot make much error. But if you want to advance your vocabularies, we need to work on it. We need to know the meaning of it. We need to know how we can say it in a sentence, use it in a sentence. So it is to be taken care of, and it is something that we all need to work on. And try to provide your answer with reasons. This helps us a wide range of grammar and vocabulary. Yes, again, we need to give as much as details and reasoning for the answers that we provide. It is mainly during the part 3 of our speaking, because we are questioned based on the cue card that we gave them. And these are the skills that are assessed: the ability of speech used to convey opinions and information on everyday topics, and common experiences and situations by answering a range of questions. The ability to speak at length on given topic using appropriate language and organizing and comprehending ideas coherently. The ability to express and justify opinions and thoughts, and to analyze, discuss and speculate about issues. The only thing is we have to talk. It is important that we can convey or reason or say things in a way that we can make them evaluate our language. It is important that we speak. It is the important thing. Unless and until you do that, it will be hard for us to score good marks. So that is something to be taken care of. And for the marking criteria, you are evaluated on your performance throughout the test by your designated certificates. Ielts examiner according to the Ielts speaking test assessment criteria. As we all know, the 4 marking criteria or assessment, the first one will be fluency and coherence. It is where the noticeable pauses, pace of the speech is all taken into consideration. We all need to speak in a way that it is understandable to all. We can speak in basic English if you are not much of a good English speaker, but we need to work on it. The more you put effort, the more it is good. So work on the fluency and work on the coherence. For fluency, you don't have to talk so fastly or quickly, whatever it may be, but try to stick to the point and try to convey the words in a way that it is understandable to all. There are students who talk so fastly they take seconds to catch their breath, so it is hard for others as well. It is giving a message to the examiner that we are fighting to, or we are in a way speaking in a way to end the whole session as soon as possible. So it is good if we do not try that, and don't talk so slowly as well. So talk in a normal pace, the way that we talk in our mother tongue, and make sure you do self-correction in your head. And there are children who constantly correct themselves. When we do that, it gives a message to the examiner that we are having problems with the grammar. It is okay if you correct yourself, it is okay, but when it's more than thrice, or when you do it 4 times in a small discussion, it is not good. So try to make it as short as possible, and try to do the self-correction inside your mind. And it is okay for if you are constantly self-correcting, it will end up as a negative impression to the listener. And frequent repetitions. When you repeat the same idea again and again, it shows that you are not confident with your speaking and your language. Try to put forward more words and ideas. When I say repetition, it involves words as well. And there are people who use the same things again and again and again. They'll try the idea when they start the cue card, and when they don't have any points, they'll say the same idea what they said in the introduction at the end of the cue card. So it'll be hard for the listener, or it'll send a message to the examiner that we don't know much about what we're talking about. So try to avoid it. Then lexical resources, we need to work on the language. So the words that we say, the sentences that we create, the idioms that we use is all important. So we need to work on the vocabularies. In order for us to work on our vocabularies, it is important that we read more, listen more, watch movies more, or watch whatever it is in English. We should watch it. We have to watch it, because if you want English, or if you want to do it, then students do ask how can we improve our English, and they start talking Malayalam the minute they leave the session. So it is something that all of us have come across, and it is something negative, because they want to do something but they are not putting much effort into it. So it is hard for them, because they are not speaking, they are not listening, they are not reading, they are not doing anything about it. Think of us way back, how we learned our mother tongue. It is through all of these things that we learned our language. So we should put more effort to it in order for us to crack the code. And for when we work on the English, and when we put so much effort, we will get the results. That is something that we all have seen, and that is something that is visible. So and moving on to accuracy and pronunciation, we have to answer the question. Don't deviate from the topic, and when you deviate from the topic, it is inappropriate. When we are asked a question, how do you go, or how do you take a bus, we're not supposed to answer like I ride my bicycle. It is two extremes. We should answer to the question. We should always stick to the question, stick to the ideas, and there is a tendency for us to deviate from the topic when we are saying the cue card. And even in the discussion part, the question might be something, the answer might be something else. So it is a trend that is occurring. And for the that is about the accuracy. It does involve the usage of words in a sentence. How accurate the word is in a sentence, how meaningful the word will make the sentence. It is all to be something that we need to work on. We need to work on it by speaking English, speak to ourselves. As I said before, speak to ourselves, speak to the people around us. Nobody is going to make. What if people laugh at you? It's not a big thing. Once you break out of that comfort zone, it is something that we can improve on. So do it. And pronunciation, it is an important part, because there are words that children or students make repeated mistakes of, like words that end in ed, worked, talked, relaxed, it's worked, talked, relaxed. That is something that students do. It's relaxed. So we need to take care of the pronunciation part of all the things. And these are some of the do's and don'ts. Listen to the keywords. When you answer a question, try to recall what the things that you can say. Try to think of the things that you can say. How can you make the whole cue card or the personal question or the discussion better? So it is based on the cue card that you want to think, or that you want to make thoughts of, or frame sentences of. And you may clarify if you don't understand a word in the question. Build vocabulary beforehand. In order for us to score high band scores, we need to have vocabularies. If we don't have the resources, vocabularies is an integral resource in the IELTS speaking, I'd say, because it is through the vocabularies that we can convey our ideas and thoughts and opinions on various things. And if you don't understand a question, it is okay if we can ask the examiner to repeat the question. But you do, we can ask them, and they'll tell what the question is, or they'll rephrase it for you. They'll even at times tell the meaning of a word that you may or may not understand. And it is a fact that you cannot change the cue card. We all hear this question often. Can we get another cue card during the sessions? But during the IELTS speaking exam, speaking test, the question given to you cannot be changed. Yes, we have to accept it. We have to frame stories of it. It is based on how good we can make stories up in your head when we have that 1 minute. We can note our points down when answering the sub questions, and while you are doing it, we have to frame the story. It is from the story that the vocabularies should come. It is from the vocabularies that our ideas should be expressed. So it is important for us to at times lie. Maybe we have to lie, because there may be occasions that we may not be aware of, or does not have experience on some things, or the questions that we are given with. For example, discuss or tell about or describe about an ancient monument that you visit. We may never have been to somewhere, but we can say I've been to Egypt. You can describe the whole journey, go into minute details. It helps considerably. So it is important for us to make lies up in your head, and how you say those things matters. It is through the vocabularies that we have. It is through the idioms. Use idioms, okay? We'll get into that. And stick to the topic. Always stick to the topic. Never deviate from the topic. It happens mainly in I'd say cue card and the discussion part, the part 3. We may be asked one question. When we are describing the whole question, we'll deviate from the topic and we'll conclude the topic as something else. The question was entirely different. The answer is entirely different. So make sure that you answer to the question. And this is an integral part. Believe you will do well. Believe that you can do well, and you will do well. You can do well. If you have put enough effort to it, you will do well. There's no reason for you to not do well, because we have to believe in ourselves. We have to accept the fact that we can do it. If someone else can do it, why can't we? And trust your instincts on at times trust your instincts on the lies that you're making inside your head. And as I said before, when we're saying a cue card or going into the whatever portion it be, give details to it. Give details to the answers that you're saying. Give examples in the part 3 and give reasons as well. It is important that you have to give details to the answers that you're saying, because by giving details, it is good for us as well. We can make sure that we are we are conveying more about the ideas and reasons and opinions and so that we can, though our examiners can evaluate our ideas as well as our language. Use models may, might, and can, and try to use opinion expressions like it seems to me, in my opinion, I think that, in my perspective, in my point of view. Use all that, especially in part 1 and part 3, but there are questions for you to answer in general. So in part 3, so we have to notice the questions clearly, or we have to listen to the questions clearly, or we can even ask them to repeat the questions in a polite manner. But during the part 1, it's all about us. So we can say, or we can use, it seems to me, in my opinion, in my perspective, or in my point of view. You can use all that. And these are some of the don'ts. Never memorize answers. You're not supposed to memorize answers. It will affect your marks. And try not to rephrase it, or try not to quote someone else. Not rephrase, try not to quote someone else. Try not to speak about any or talk about any research that you've come across. When I say talk about a research, I'm sorry, it's talk about the same line in the research. You don't have to do that. Say your opinion, or say what you got from by reading the research. You can do that. Worry if you make mistakes. Yeah, we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everyone make mistakes while speaking. It is normal. So don't worry about it. Move past it. You have to accept the mistakes that you've made while speaking. And if you let that worry, if you let the mistakes worry you, it will be something that's going to affect the whole speaking session. So try not to do it. And yes, go off topic. Yes, stick to the questions, stick to the topic, and try to give answers in a way that is understandable to everyone. And use too many fillers. This is something that we all do. Even I do that at times. But during the speaking session, you're not appreciated, or you're not supposed to use any fillers. There are fillers like like, these are all fillers. Try to avoid fillers as much as possible. Once or twice it can be accepted, but after a point it becomes irritating as well. So try to avoid the fillers. Use I think, like too much. Yes, these are all considered fillers. There are children, or there are students who use fillers so often. So it is hard for us to avoid fillers, because it has become a habit, or it has become an involuntary thing that we say, or word that we say. For some people, like is like a mantra. They have to say it again and again and again. There are students who use 3 or 4 likes in just one sentence. That takes away the meaning of the sentence as well. That even makes the like which is needed in the sentence inappropriate. So try to avoid fillers as much as possible. Worry if you have a non-English accent. It is fine if you don't have any non-English accent. You're judged on your language. When I say language, your vocabularies, your sentence construction, lexical resources, these are the things that you're judged for, not your accent. So be confident of the accent that you have now, and you can improve if you need improvement. So polish the language that you have as much as possible. That can be done, that has to be done. Don't use gestures that exposes your nervousness, but let your body language show your confidence. Yes, we should never let our body expose our unconfident less behavior or anything, or our speech as well. So it is important for us to take care of that. And if you use gestures like your facial expressions can impact your speaking. Your hand gestures can impact your speaking. So even if you're nervous, act confident or act. This is something that I've heard. If you don't know something, or if you are nervous about something, if you feel like you don't want to face your fears, that is exactly when you face your fears. When you feel like you don't want to jump, that is exactly when you have to jump. That is how we face our fears. That is how we should face our fears. And the posture that we sit in front of the examiner plays an important role. So try to sit in a posture that is so good that it impresses the examiner in front of us. We have to take care of the posture. There are students who lean forward. There are students who talk with a tone that is so sad it makes us want to console them at times. So speak with a tone that is confident. Sit with a posture that is so confident. It is good if you act like you own the place. Think of yourself as a celebrity, and think of the examiner in front of you as a person who has come to interview you. It'll be easier for you. You're a celebrity. Whatever you say is right. Whatever you want to say is right. What's your opinion, you just have to say it. So think of yourself like that. You're a celebrity. During the speaking session, you're a celebrity. And practicing the language. These are some things that you can do to practice or chisel to improve your language. It is better to practice on your own than not to practice at all. Don't let the lack of partner stop you from practicing. Yes, as I said before, it is important for us to practice. And if you don't have a partner, if you don't have someone else to talk to yourself. Talk about yourself. Talk about your feelings to yourself. Not in your mother tongue, but in English. It helps. It helps you to break that comfort zone, or it helps you to talk more in English to others as well, because you are constantly talking to yourself in English. It helps us. And there are thousands of ways to practice with a partner online. We can talk to others online. We can text people online. So try doing that. It helps. Focus on the 4 marking criteria. Everything else is irrelevant. We do know the 4 criterias. Focus on that. And things apart from that, like the accent that we mentioned earlier, we don't have to focus on it. We don't have to focus on the ideas or opinions that we state. We don't have to focus on the appearance. We don't have to do any of it. All that matters is the language that you speak in, or the vocabularies, the grammar. That is what is important. Be a reflective learner. Record your practice sessions and appraise your performance. This is something that my trainers has taught me or said to me. If you can record yourself in a phone and practice a cue card, practice saying a cue card for 2 minutes, or you can talk for 3 minutes. It's practice. So you can record yourself on the phone, and once you're done recording, once you're done with the cue card, you can put your headsets on, or you can put your headsets on, and you can take a pen and a paper. You can write all the mistakes down, and we can spot mistakes easily. That is a fact. And if you can do that, and if you can learn from it, if you can reflect your mistakes, you can get rid of the fillers, the places where you repeat the ideas again and again and again. So this is a way that you can do it. And practice for the sake of it. Practicing for the sake of it will not help. You need to identify your weaknesses and take action to improve those shortcomings. You need to talk about you need to work on your speaking. If you're doing it for the sake of others, or if you're doing it for the sake of practicing, it will not help. Do it for yourself. You have to do it for yourself, or else there won't be much of an improvement. And what is the examiner looking for when you're speaking? Your examiner does not want to see how many answers you have memorized. As I said, you don't have to memorize answers. You have to talk about what your opinions are, or state what the things that you know about the topic, how many big or fancy high level words you know. We do need vocabularies, but we need vocabularies that is comfortable for us. There are vocabularies or there are words that is hard to say or hard to be used in a sentence. So in order for you to use vocabularies for the sake of it, don't do it. Try to use vocabularies where it is needful or where it is needed the most, where it means something. And how many different grammar structures and tenses you know? Yeah, just use the grammar and tenses appropriately. That's enough. And if you have British or American accent, you don't have to have a American or British accent. You just have to have it is okay if you have an Indian accent or another accent, any else accent. It's just about the topics that you say or the opinions that you say or the reasons that you put forward in front of the examiner. It will be recorded and it will be assessed based on the criteria. So you just have to meet the criteria. Yeah, the examiner does want to see how well you can communicate through spoken English, how well you can speak on a topic that you are given with. That is what matters the most. And you should always remember that the examiner in the exam are simply testing if you can open your mouth and communicate in English. Yes, they are not here to judge you by your appearance or how well you can say an accent. No, they are in front of you to see if you can speak the language well, if you can share the ideas and communicate in a way that is understandable to all. That is what matters, and anything apart from that is irrelevant. Don't make it more complicated than it is to be. Keep it simple. You don't have to go for complex sentences at times. We can use complex sentences, but if you are not comfortable with the complex sentences, try not to do it. You can keep things simple. You can stick to the opinion that you say. You can talk about the things that you want to say. You can share your opinions on the topic that is put forward before you on the discussion part. This is something that we need to take care of. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. And these are some of the tips. Speak some English every day. It is better to practice a little bit every day and improve your skills gradually than to speak your native language all the week until you have an Ielts exam or a class or exam. When the trainers say speak in English, when you speak in your mother tongue, they mean it. And they mean it because it helps. It helps in a way that you will only understand when you go to the speaking test. It is important for you to speak in English on a daily basis for at least 4 to 5 hours, because there are people who cannot do that, but still you need to be in touch with the language. If you are in touch with the language, you can it will be flexible to you. Rather than speaking in your mother tongue for the whole week or for the whole month, it'll be hard for you when you go for the exam and sit in front of an examiner, and when they ask questions you will be in search of words and there will be long pauses along the sentences that you will be saying. So try to speak in English as much as possible. Ask the examiner questions if you don't understand. Yes, you can ask questions to the examiner if you don't understand a word or a topic or anything that they say. They will answer your question, and they can say, or they can rephrase the question if you want them to. Your IELTS speaking test is meant to be like a normal conversation between two people. Therefore, if you don't understand a word, you can ask the examiner to explain what it means. Just say sorry. Just say I'm sorry, could you explain what X means? X can be anything, the topic, the cue card or the discussion part. Yes, you can also ask them to repeat the question. However, you can't ask the examiner to explain the whole sentence. Yes, you can ask them to say what the question is, but not the whole sentence. Do a 24-hour 24-hour English warm-up. It takes most IELTS students 10 to 15 minutes to warm up and perform to the best of their ability on the test day. Just like an athlete needs to warm up before a sporting event, you also need to warm up before your IELTS exam. Therefore, you should speak, write, read and listen to English for 24 hours before your IELTS speaking test is. Your family and friends might think you're crazy, but it will affect your score greatly. So try to speak in English as much as possible before the exam. So if you're attending a class, try to attend the class throughout in language that you're comfortable with, which is English, that you're gaining more comfortable with the language when you're speaking it. So try to do it as much as you can, and it's like a warm-up session when you do it. Just like mentioned here, an athlete needs to warm up before his sporting event, so we need to warm up for our speaking session by speaking in English. So we need to do it in a regular basis. You don't have to wait for the previous day of the exam. We can do it right now, starting now. We can speak in English as much as possible, and it can help your grades to go high. It is all based on you, on how you take the exam, on how you see the test as. If you think it is difficult, it will be difficult. It is on your perspective of things that the whole language is based on. Yes. And give full answers. As I said, yes and no are not satisfactory answers in your IELTS speaking test. You need to show the examiner how good your English is. If you give very short answers, there is no way the examiner can know how good you are. Therefore, you should try to extend your answers with explanations and example. Yes, when I say explanations and example, we are talking about part 3. You can even state little examples or small examples in part 1, but it is good if we can point out our examples in part 3 of the speaking test. And again, when we are doing our cue card, try to give more idioms and vocabularies as much as possible. It is important for us to use idioms at times. It is not an integral part, but if you can do it, it makes them think that you are good with the language, and you don't have to force an idiom into a sentence just because your trainer told you to. Insert an idiom into a sentence if it is needed. There are many idioms like over the moon, kick the bucket, cloud 9, many other things, and a cup of tea is something that is heard often. Yes. And thank you. This is the end of the live session. And yes, before you, and again, the offer still stands. You just pay 10,000 and you can grab the opportunity to learn the IELTS for unlimited time. You can study till you pass. And thank you, and you all have a great day, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you.